very distinguished guests, esteemed organizers of this gathering, fellow activists and champions of women's rights, supporters and friends of the Afghan nation. I extend a warm handshake from the people of my country, Afghanistan, especially from your Afghan sisters. To be with you today is to be assured that you have not forgotten our dire situation. Believe it or not, it is this kind of attention from our regional neighbors and the international community that serves as our source of strength. From the vantage point of ordinary Afghans, nearly 14 years of support by the international community truly brought about remarkable changes to the lives of many. We were momentarily liberated from the tyrannical rule of the Taliban, and we began to hope for a life with dignity, progress, and peace. Many Afghans who lived as refugees abroad returned to help in national reconstruction, bringing back their hard-earned money to open small businesses, reuniting with their family and producing goods and services that could sustain our fragile economy. Many young women and men worked with the international community and served as breadwinners of their families. The gains for the Afghan women population were tremendous. The Afghan government ratified the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, without reservations, binding itself to an obligation to protect, respect, and fulfill the rights of girls and women. Equality between women and men was also enshrined in the Constitution, which paved the way for a number of policy and legal instruments, including the National Action Plan for the Women of Afghanistan, 2008-2018. The Decree on the Elimination of Violence Against Women, which declared 22 forms of violence against women as unlawful, and the Affirmative Action Policy in Articles 83 and 84 of the Constitution, which reserve seats for women in the Parliament. Mechanisms for women's advancement and human rights were also established, including the Ministry of Women's Affairs, the Women's Department of the Afghan Independent Human Rights Commission, and the gender focal points in all ministries that are tasked to facilitate the implementation of National Action Plan for Women of Afghanistan and international treaties and commitments for the advancement of women's status. There has been substantial improvement in women's participation in economic, social, political, and cultural affairs of the country. For the first time, girls and young women returned to school. The statistics of the World Bank show that in 2012, 2.9 million of girls were attending school, compared to 0 during the time of Taliban. Women were allowed to move in the public space and work, pursue a career, join civil society organizations, step inside the mosques to participate in religious worships, vote during elections, and run for public office. According to the Asia Foundation, currently 27.7% of seats in the lower house and 17.6% of seats in the upper house are held by women. President Ashraf Ghani has also appointed 4 female ministers and 2 female governors, compared to none before 2001. A report of Oxfam shows that there have been 1,551 women in the police force since 2013. Undeniably, it was a much improved situation. We were moving steadily forward, and we were celebrating the milestone changes that were bought with lots of sacrifices. But, as you know, our efforts to advance women's status was cut short by the withdrawal of international support to Afghanistan, which seriously affected the women's sector. Many non-government and civil society organizations that were working for women's rights are now unable to operate.